Hi everybody, this video is for those of you, well, who maybe don't want to get better, but maybe thinking about getting better. This is for you. So basically, when I did my first playthrough in Elden Ring, I went kind of more of RPG run, discovering secrets, going with Mimic and OP, very broken, cheesy weapons, just to finish the game the first run. I mean the DLC. Now, the more I play and trying to get better, the more I realize basically all the mistakes that I'm actually making, they actually prevent me from actually getting better. Although even if I go with an intention to get better, there are some things that just delay or prevent me from actually understanding how to do things correctly. That's a nice fall. So the first thing is straight on fighting, and when I get into boss fight right now, I do things differently. I first don't attack at all. All I do is get in, observe the fight, and see the cues, the visual cues for actually different attacks, and try to learn them. And to be honest with you, in many times I don't really need to learn everything to finish boss fight. If I learn like 70% of the different attacks, I can still finish the boss fight. So rather than just getting in and trying to attack with the hope that I won't get enough damage, I'll be able to put enough damage to eliminate the boss, I do things differently. And for those who do that, this is why it takes them several tries and they can finish it, because they pay attention to several attacks, they learn how to dodge them, then they try again, a new attack, they fail, they learn from the attack, eventually they cover most of the attacks that they can, even all of them, and they're able to finish the boss fight. So again, if you go with that in mind, if you just say, alright, this is going to go in and continue to get, if it give you 10 years, you won't be able to finish the boss fight solo without actually, something broken in the game or really high luck in order to finish it. And it's amazing that just if you change that, just to pay attention to the attacks, just that, even if you learn 2 or 3 attacks, you'll be able to finish the boss fight even with quite a few mistakes. The next one is basically keeping the combat in sync. It took me some time to get used to it, but it's pretty simple. You need to dodge at the right time, you need to roll at the right time, otherwise if you do it before, you're just gonna be in sync with the opponent's attack and you're gonna get hit. And believe me, they optimize their boss fight based of course on that. They put all the animations because they know the duration, when you're gonna heal, when you're gonna do certain things, and just punish you for actually doing things like that by trying to do certain type of healing, for example, dodging or rolling at the right time, and they're gonna punish you for that. This is what all the bosses are actually designed like that, in order to make you fail at the moment that most players will probably do certain things wrongly. The next one is no enemies' weaknesses. This can be a huge difference, by the way. You can look at wikis, but if you're not into looking wikis, fine. So you can find it yourself. And basically some bosses have really strong weaknesses against one or more elements. And basically if you use them against them, you're going to deal a massive amount of damage. Some of them can be like if you break the stance of a boss, you're going to deal massive damage with a critical hit and so on. And this is basically a game changer. It can actually break the game in some ways, because if you know the vulnerability, some of the weapons can be very, very powerful against certain bosses. Whether you decide to take advantage of something more cheesy or not, still, using weapons that have advantage in terms of element can really be beneficial in the fight. Now, light load is like the best thing that I discovered doing in the game. Again, over the time was only on normal weight, medium weight, how it is called. So the moment I changed, for example, to light load, I was able to finish this fight against Relena in the first try. I mean, the moment I changed to lightweight. Before that it was normal, it was difficult because it actually gave me more frames to actually correct mistakes. Not just dodging and being able to dodge more efficiently and faster, but basically correct mistakes in case I'm doing that, because I have more frames after my roll to actually roll again sometimes. Combat feels much more responsive. It was just day and night change for me, and from that point on, most of the boss fights right now I'm just doing on light load. And if you look at the top players that are actually doing amazing, you see that most of them are using basically light load, because this gives them the responsiveness they need in the fight, and they don't really care about getting hit. But again, maybe they could have got hit if they used normal instead of light. The other thing is dropping summons and cheesy weapons. Well, we probably already know that. The thing is that, again, my first playthrough I did everything with cheesy weapon, everything with summons. I didn't care about anything, just finish the bosses quickly and discover many secrets and all the weapons. And second playthrough, I'm going to use something else, or with my second character. This is, by the way, unrelated. I'm just going co-op here, testing different weapons. So basically, if you really want to learn, you need to drop the cheesy weapons and the summons. And the thing is that it really feels great. The reason I do that is because I really want the feeling that, all right, I was able to own the fight, rather than using something that can one hit. And you can one hit bosses quite easily with certain, buffs before the fight. You can easily win against bosses, especially if you know their weaknesses. There are many guys out there. If you want to do something cheesy and just prepare and finish the fight, fine, it's up to you. But if you really want to feel that you are able to make it on your own, try without. Again, I'm doing this for myself, to be able to stand against the boss and say, all right, I did it. I was able to finish it. And yeah, just for myself. And it feels great, I have to tell you. There are many situations also that learn that when you jump, you have a low part of the lower body is immune, so you can use it. So in many situations, quite easy when you do that in certain bosses. So try it out in certain attacks. It works. It might just feel better to do it, or even more, let's say, efficient compared to doing a roll. There are also quite a few attacks of the boss, so you can actually circulate around the boss, locking on the boss, just walking around them. And this way you can actually punish the boss pretty fast after that, because again, you're going to take more frames to deal damage, rather than if you haven't, you need to reposition and all this stuff. So maybe you missed even an opportunity to get hit. This is really great and allows you to even shorten the fight in general, because you're just circulating around the boss and get opportunity to attack right after. Now, there are many situations where I thought that my build is great, only to realize after reading a bit more, there are just more efficient way to optimize my build. So that's a great thing to actually, again, the knowledge you're going to get from wikis like Extra Life wiki. So learning is good. Again, it opens your eyes to more combinations of different type of items that can really improve your build, just give you some information that is not available in the game, and either you're going to test it yourself, you're going to take a lot of time, you can just learn it, for example, like numbers, like how much damage you get, magical damage, physical damage, extra defense, by using certain talismans and other items. Now, again, this is very specific for those who are able to use incantations in their build. Whether you're high level, you can just invest enough to use certain incantations. Incantations are very, very powerful. By the way, here you can see me practicing against Malena's flurry attack. So even if you go away with the build that is not faith, if you have enough to invest in faith to use certain incantations, those who can give you extra damage and extra defense, can be very powerful in the game. So consider adding them, again, if it fits your build, and if you have enough points to actually invest, and just invest enough to actually use certain incantation, those could be very, very powerful against certain bosses, and in general can just give you good defense and extra damage. Another thing I realized that I don't really need, I know it's punishing to switch a build because you need to use the lava tier, but sometimes if you see that something is not working with your build, and maybe you love your build, but it's not strong enough, again, maybe it's an element that the boss is very strong against, it just doesn't work. So if that's the case, don't break your head too much. If you have an option to change it, you have a lava tier, and you think about, all right, I'm just going to try maybe another build, go for it. There are really some great builds that you can use. So changing things, while trying against a certain really tough boss, nothing wrong with that. It might work well. You might discover really some really cool build that you're going to enjoy playing. Also learn about soft caps, for different stats improvement. Sometimes it's better not to invest in certain stats if you have just a few and you want to get the most benefits, especially before boss fights or something like that. Make sure to learn them. There's all over the internet. You're going to find information. Just write soft caps, Elden Ring, and you're going to find information about that. Always pay attention. Again, this is a no-brainer, but make sure to upgrade your gear. If you're already using a weapon, it's very strong, you see it's working well, you want it as part of your build, go for it, upgrade it completely. Or at least one before maybe the last upgrade, and test it out again. But if you don't want to invest it fully, and then if it really works well for you want to stick with it, go for it. Don't forget to learn the weapons, the skill moveset completely. Some weapons have some really nice attacks and combos that you can do that it might not look like that in first sight. So make sure either to read online and check it out to know the best about all the options that your weapon has. Now, test your build. Even before going to boss fight, just test it out, try to optimize it. That's what I did, by the way. I tried different combinations, for example, here with incantations and weapons and flask, and have a close side way so I can really, test it out quickly, and especially if getting big tanky enemies. So just look at the numbers and see how it works based on the strategy that I plan to play with the weapons I play, and see how things are going. So you can test it out even before, of course, you're going to boss fight. This way you are sure that you have some really good build to face a tough boss fight. Now, if you're using a build that either a melee build or you need to be in a good range, front roll is very important. Sometimes you roll back. This is something I think natural. You want to get away from attack, but there are so many situations in this game against bosses where front roll is very efficient. When you do front roll again towards the boss, you're actually going to get an option to be close to him and opportunity attack right after. So maybe try to fight against the urge to roll back all the time. There are many situations where rolling forward will be very useful for you, especially if you're using a melee build or weapon that requires to be close to the boss. Next thing is don't be greedy. Now you're probably gonna relate to it. You want to put that third and fourth attack in just to finish the fight fast and just do as much damage as possible. This is no Diablo. So basically, if you're gonna get punished for it, the game is designed to punish you for that. So based in my experience against the bosses, it's always a good practice to not be greedy. If you see that even if you get one hit, you deal one hit or two hits, it's enough. It's better than getting punished by the boss. Sometimes you can even die immediately if you make these mistakes. Because in Elden Ring and other Souls game, it's all about watching the attacks, trying to avoid getting hit and find the opportunity to attack back or even punish the boss. That's the way it works, and if you go against this, you're gonna get punished basically. Another thing that I recommend is check out the consumable. Some of them can be really good and complement your build, give you extra defense, extra attack. I know that you don't want to build on that, because again, if you exhaust completely, you're not going to use it again. You need to craft them again. Some people don't really want to go into it because it's time consuming. But if you have something and you struggle, that extra bit of help, especially if you already know the fight, you just need that extra to help you finish it, those consumables can really help out. And again, in some situation, if you use lots of consumables, it can give you just one shot a boss. But again, I'm not talking about that broken thing, but again, just giving that extra that you need to finish boss fights. Yeah, so these are some tips based on my second playthrough. Not everything you see here, by the way, is from the second playthrough, some of them for the first. But basically some things that I gathered I wanted to share with you, because again, this is my journey to get better in the game. It taken me, of course, effort and time. I see myself as an average player, nothing extraordinary. And between us, there's no place where I say, all right, from that point on I'm cheesing, from that point on it's not cheesing. I mean, if I'm not using even summons or powerful, very powerful weapons. For me, the most important thing that I'm able to learn the boss fight moves. I'm able to dodge most of them. And relatively in a prolonged fight, I'm able to survive well and deal damage and defeat the boss. So it's more about learning the fight that makes me feel that I'm in control, rather than I'm counting on luck, like, oh my god, what's the next attack? Oh no, please don't hurt me. Oh, I was so lucky. Less luck and more confident in being able to face the boss and know how to dodge the attacks. That's for me. I feel that I'm owning the fight, and that, by the way, from that point on, when you do that, you can use any weapon and be at any level, and you'd be able to beat the boss fight if you know how to do that. So I try to get not to be a master of it, but good enough to feel good about my performance in the game. And that's about it. I hope you find some of the tips useful. Give a like if you did. I'll see you next video. I'm gonna cry a bit in trying to beat some other bosses which I'm struggling at. See you soon. Cheers.